All right, so we're gonna start with the big toes together, heels slightly apart. Knees touching, gently squeezing towards each other. Thighs rolling in towards each other. Measuring sticks, thumb at the base of the ribs, pinky at the top of the hips. Shoulders back, squeeze the rhomboids, elbows wide. Feel the lats, press the shoulders down towards the hips. Hinge back, find the hamstrings, find the glutes, find the back extensors. Hold it right there. Give it a few nice big breaths, decompressing the torso, expanding the ribs wide from back, elevating them away from the hips as the shoulders press down towards the hips, back and down with the shoulders. Knees squeezing, thighs rolling in. Big breaths. Keep the shoulders back and down, reach the arms forward. Make a sphere with your hands, fingertips touching, all joints unlocked, but lots of space between the fingers. Shoulders back, shoulders down. Rhomboids and lats. Hips back away from the hands. Keep the toes firmly placed on the ground. Big breaths here. Two more big breaths. And with the next exhale, just come back up to standing, shake that off. We'll go right foot forward, left foot back. Just nice long stance. First thing, outer edges parallel to each other. Maybe toes slightly in from your heel. 3 points on the front foot, 2 on the back. Straighten the ankles so that the ankles are even. Even out the hips. Decompress. Big breaths here, just like before. Measuring sticks, breathing the torso up, away from the hips, expanding like a balloon 360 degrees. Shoulders way back, squeeze the rhomboids and keep the shoulders back there. Into the hinge, find the right hamstring, find the right glute. Send the arms forward, bring the shoulders back. Big breaths here. Shoulders down towards the hips. Into a long wing, arms straight back. So shoulders back, elbows back, external rotation, even the pinky stretching here. Open the palms big. Short wing, bending the elbows. Integration, finding the hips, hinging back, and then coming up to vertical. Trying to minimize the movement on the back heel and the back knee, and keeping the movement on the hips, focusing on the muscles of the front leg, hamstring, glutes. Keeping the hips even, lead with the hips. Torso follows the hips. Yep. Keep that back knee a little straighter so that you can feel that the weight stays on the front side as you go into the hinge and as you go out of it as well. 2 more times. And you're always going to load the front leg first before you step forward to switch sides. Left one forward, right foot back. outer edges. 3 points in the front, 2 on the back. Even pressure, big toe, little toe on the back. But decompressing, checking the alignment of the hips before you go into the hinge, and then loading up the hips to find that front leg. Bend your left knee just a little bit more. Bend the left knee a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, somewhere in there. Arms forward. Shoulders set. Long wing. Arms back. Short wing, bend the elbows. Keep the hips even. Into the hinge and out. Leading with the hips, not the torso. Lead with the hips. Yep. On that one, your torso went a little bit ahead of the hips. Try to make a more hips on this one. Yeah, that's much better. And just try to keep noticing the difference on where, if you're leading with your spine or if you're leading with your hips. Yeah, you're leading with your hips. Now make sure you also lead with the hips on the way out by pressing through the front leg. Yeah, torso follows. A couple more times on this side. And on the last one, you're going to load the front foot and step forward. And we'll switch it again. Right foot forward again. Find your alignment, edges, ankles. Straight into the hinge. Arms straight forward. Okay. Rotation here to the right, leading with the hips, torso follows. Hold it right there. Once the hips stop moving, the torso stops moving. Come back to center, lead with the hips, torso follows. Don't go past center, keep that hip even. Back into the twist, all the way in. Hips lead, torso follows, hip stops, torso stops. Much better. Come back to center. And step forward, switch sides. Decompress a little bit, find the spine, find the breath. When you're ready, load the front side. Arms forward. Rotations to the left 3 times, hips lead, torso follows. Don't go past it. Don't let your spine turn without the hips moving. Check the hips here, left hip back just a little bit. Okay, and then from neutral, turning again. Send that hip back, send the hip back, send the hip back. Come back to center. And step forward. Okay, so feet both at the front of the mat, release your arms, shake that off. Okay, so a little different sequence here. We're gonna start from the big toes touching, heels slightly apart, get your decompression breath, knees together, just finding that tall founder. Hinge the hips back a little bit, enough that your knees stack over your heels, and then lift your right knee up as high as your hip. 90 degrees at the hips, more or less, 90 degrees at the knees. Flexing the ankle 90 degrees, shoulders stay back, hands over the hips here. Reach your hips back. When you can't go any farther, send your leg back, but keep it off the ground. Keep the hips even, and then just place that foot straight down. Bring yourself up vertical. Check the hips again, catch your breath. Into the hinge, load the left leg. Loading, loading, loading until you have no weight on the back foot. Floating it off the ground naturally. Bring the right knee up towards the chest, hip height as your arms reach up. Nice and tall. And then hands down, foot down. We'll switch sides. Left knee is going to rise up, a little bit of a hinge here. More of a hinge as you get into that right glute. When you can't hinge any farther, send the leg back, send the leg back. And just place the foot down right there. Vertical. Into the hinge. Front knee back just a little bit here. Transfer the weight to the front leg. Knee up, arms up. Nice and tall spine, stacking. Hips over foot, torso over hips. Okay, and again, switching sides. So this time, the hip is going to reach back, the leg is going to reach back. We're going to hold the leg up off the ground and then reach the hip back and the leg back and see if you can brush your toes down as you place them down a little farther back. Coming up to vertical and then into the hinge again. Leading with the hips, transferring the weight, knee up, arms up. Everything down, other side. So once the leg reaches back, you're gonna hold the leg off the floor. Make sure your hips are still even, and then reach the hip back so that you can reach your foot back, and then brush it down as you place it. As far back as possible without your hips turning. Resetting the spine into the hinge, loading the front. Knee up, arms up. Okay, one more time on each side, last variation here. Hinge the hips back. Find your glutes, find your hamstrings, right foot off the floor, right knee up. We're going to hinge the hips back first, send the leg back second, and now use your arms, stretch them forward, counterbalance, and send that foot as far back as you can, ideally farther than the last repetition. Good, and then into the hinge. Transfer the weight forward, knee up, arms up. And everything down. Last side to finish here. Lifting up, knee, hips back, leg back, hover the leg way back, straight knee, hips even, arms forward, should send the hips farther back, the toes go far back. Go as far as you can, place it down, up to vertical, back into the hinge, into that front foot. Tap it. Knee up, arms up. Even hips and foot down. And then to finish here, Big toes together, heels apart, measuring sticks, decompression breath, just like we started. Nice and tall. Just a little bit of a hinge here. Just a little bit, shoulders back. Some nice deep breathing. Feeling that posterior chain, more space, more energy. Awesome. Great job.